If there's one thing I love, it's a budget title. Not because you're getting something good for a great price, let's be honest, usually you aren't. But because the developers, in a lot of cases, think the term budget title means the game itself is made on a shoestring budget and the results can be interesting, to say the least. Number 5.
I was born in a construction vehicle.
First on our list we have Battle Construction Vehicles. Published in Europe by Midas Interactive Entertainment, who are well known for their budget titles, usually brought over from Japan. This is a vehicular combat game like none before and possibly none after. The player begrudgingly takes control of his father's construction company and must win construction contracts through combat in typical construction vehicles. While I've not made it that far, according to Wikipedia, the game contains a romance subplot involving your stepsister. Weird. This game makes the list simply due to its opening cutscene, in which the protagonist is chased onto the roof of the building by an old man driving a crane. While I don't know how similar the English dialogue is to the original Japanese, I find the whole thing to be ridiculous and funny, especially considering the less than stellar voice acting throughout. The whole thing feels like it could have just been an anime from the 80s. Unlike other vehicular combat games, this is more of a 1v1 fighter without any weapons, meaning the vehicles slam into one another and use whatever tools are already attached to them. The game does let you change vehicles, however, if you unlock them through the story mode, with each vehicle having different movesets and different special attacks, and yes, I did say special attacks, and they are something to behold. Well, for the first time you see them anyway. This gives some sort of variety in multiplayer if, for whatever god-awful reason, you wanted to subject a friend to the game and could find a willing victim, participant, to join you. Number 4. From a Japanese line of budget games called the Simple 2000 series, named as such because all games in the lineup only cost 2,000 yen, that's about $18 in today's money, comes The Sniper 2, known as The Sniper 2 Bullet of Nightmare in Japan. They got a cool subtitle. The gameplay all takes place looking through a sniper scope. You choose a stationary position prior to the start of a mission from a few predetermined ones, and simply wait until you can get a good shot at your target without running out of time or ammo. I can say, in the game's credit, it does have a rather funky jazz soundtrack and shows these interesting looking drawings of the characters during the opening credits. It's just a shame the models are nowhere near as good. As this is the case with half the games on the list, any enjoyment to be gleaned from this game comes from the story and cutscenes being so bad that they're good. With this being the case, just take a look at the opening cutscenes so you don't have to play it yourself. Just don't get too interested in the story, as the first game was never released outside of Japan.
Why didn't you stop and help him?
We're on the run, remember? We can't afford to stand out, take risks.
So we just leave him stranded in the middle of the desert? I don't get the feeling that many cars come this way, and even if another one does, it'll probably just drive right past as well. I thought you were a better person than that.
Look, right now
has nothing to do with this. If this mess is going to make you stop being yourself, maybe you should just get caught.
You're right, CA. I have had my revenge. I don't have to live like that anymore, to be on edge all the time.
Wow, thanks. I'm saved. My name's Stanley Jones. I'm a precision engineer for Aquarium Electronics.
An engineer? I would have thought an engineer could handle a little car trouble.
Yeah, me too, but that hunk of scrap is far beyond even my skills. You know them doctors that get sick because they don't look after themselves? Now I know how they feel.
Number 3. Paparazzi. Both the title and the cover of this one are misleading. This game seems to be less about being a paparazzi and more about being an obsessed stalker. though there might not be too much difference there. The premise centres on the protagonist wanting to get close to what is essentially an Instagram model who will only meet with photographers. With this, he borrows a camera, enters a photo shoot under false pretenses, and proceeds to take creepy photos. I couldn't tell you what happens later on. I imagine the ladies continue to wear different outfits that get more and more revealing, but after I saw the jiggle physics, I just gave up. Dead or alive, this is not. What it is, however, is one of the few games that I am ashamed to admit I own. Number 2. Number 2 is where the list takes a turn. The previous games were all from Japan, but this one comes from our friends at Phoenix Games, who, according to a quick Google search, were founded in the UK, the Netherlands, and Thailand. While the rest of the games try to have interesting plots and characters, Dead-Eye Jim does not. The plot is literally summed up as Jim is the sheriff and must put an end to the bandits in town. One sentence on the back of the box. The entire game is summed up just like one of those "there was an attempt" meme. They saw wild guns and thought, I could do that, but they couldn't. Phoenix, known for terribly dubbed movies, usually make games so bad you can laugh at them, but Dead-Eye Jim is straight up boring. Only rarely included in this list to ease everyone into the idea of Phoenix Games, as I'm sure they'll be making plenty more appearances in future videos, I'm sure. Number 1. Speaking of so bad they're funny Phoenix Games, they also published Speed Machines 3, missing in action as Speed Machines 1 and 2. A top-down racer with gameplay worse than Dead-Eye Jim somehow, but in a more enjoyable way. 4 cars start, and occasionally they all finish. I say occasionally because the tracks are so poorly designed and the AI so horrendously terrible that they get stuck or blow themselves up repeatedly. At first glance, the game looks quite large, with a number of cups, each containing 5 different races and unique vehicles, but the tracks repeat, leaving it much smaller. The vehicles, however, are all different and in some cases controlled vastly differently due to the way the strange physics take effect on their designs. The game just screams Phoenix. The cars don't even start on the track, they hover slightly above it, dropping down upon the start, meaning if you land badly, you're just outright disadvantaged for the race. Sometimes this can matter, and other times the races are so busy getting stuck that you can't help but win, and the whole thing feels just like you're driving on top of soggy cornflakes. But those are just 5 budget games that I happen to think are interesting. If you happen to have any stories or suggestions about budget games, tell me in the comments, and if you like what you saw, please like and subscribe.